Yeah, we're gonna visit the intelligent systems library. Intelligent systems seminar. I get those also. I'll list this its course name, which or the intelligent system that course name is artificial intelligence. But so if you under any of those, you say paper form 680 or computer science 680 or for intelligent systems lab. They're both interesting papers, broad and general. They'll like the one, a tutorial, organizational expert systems. That's also some of the kind of things we're going to be attacking today. Roy is going to, Roy recently has been working at Oak Hospital with some people who are developing an expert system that's working at ray tomography that has a three-dimensional approach. They take a brain scan, we try to find out chunks of vision, we analyze them. People working on this, he's going to be interfacing with them, or the program they're designing. It's an expert system that's going to assist the researchers in, I don't know what happened. We'll leave it to him. I don't know. We'll leave it to him. Right? Should be interesting. Well, Rick and I were talking just a few minutes ago. We thought it's an office of what we're doing. Rick asked me about my work that he did in the introduction. I said that I was planning to spend a little time telling you about my general interest in artificial intelligence by way of introducing this particular project. Expert systems, attacks upon what you're saying. So that's why I signed into deduction that the frogs word under the fellow as CTs, and it is numbered on the far left. I meant to indicate the amount of time I'd like to spend in this talk kicks to get it off way.
It makes a gist. Or this of what really.
Oh, that is fun. Well, I thought you take the amount of time you had and then you sum these up when you normalize, and it probably gives you 3 minutes. Reclaimed at the literature of the Coca project. An IKIT project, which basically shows what the postal investigator has been doing for the last few years. A discussion on the program that principal investigator Lauren Ackerman MD. Okay. Then when I start to get involved in this outlining, first the 6 sections and what is quite a lot of sort of tracing of the history about my involvement in the general area and in this particular project, and then the tracing within that tracing of the project that Lauren's doing, and when I got involved last July. There's always a comment actually like to spend more time in any of the other subtopics on discussing the entering rules into a production system, a rule-based expert system. Actually creating rules, throwing examples of rules for this expert system, which I really kind of refer to as ET for us, the extraterrestrial. But let's get through the expert model here. Lauren, not here. I invited him up, but he came at that before. He had named that his son, but I like to call it the extra phonographer. I won't use this overhead again until I get into this entering rules part where I have some rules written down. I'm interested in both theoretical and artificial intelligence and applications of artificial intelligence to medicine. And in the theoretical vein, I've been trying to do some work with the 2 members of our faculty, either I'm really saying the 30D where I was interested in the problems, models for problem solving, and with Michael Conrad is interested in systems of Darwin. And I'm also interested in applications of the partnership of this men. I'm working with 2 people, one in the VA hospital, George Calzor, but it's director of the pathology laboratory there, and then was Lauren Ackerman at Enderport Hospital, radiologist. And there's a reason, many reasons, why I work with somebody in pathology and somebody in radiology when trying to develop applications of artificial intelligence in this. I don't know what your backgrounds are. If you have either a bit low background, you might see, hey, how many of you know what a pathology and a radiology department are in the healthcare system? How many don't? Everybody has. Can you
can you tell me some reasons why those two departments of the healthcare system or the hospital might be particularly good for applications of artificial intelligence? Just to be in contrast to some of the areas that seem to be most discussed in the literature, like Eisen refers to an infectious disease experts.
The cassette they were super dominating on this day.
His application to pathology and radiology is very attractive. I don't have any takers if this was a.
Anybody get from me? None of me get from me.
Can you think about what are currently behind the expert systems in the real world? What is the process? One key process.
YouTube interface.
User interface, big data. You try to get the clinicians that go to the terminal and enter information about their patients in order to get some advice about what kind of bacteremia or meningitis patient might have. You have enormous user interface problems. The clinician is people have been unable to get clinicians on an interfaces to go to a terminal in order to use mice. But the pathology laboratory and the radiology department, those don't generally interact directly with the clinician. Clinicians make an order for a pathology laboratory test or for a radiological examination, and then back from this laboratory comes the pathology laboratory case, just data, and in the radiology laboratory case, an interpretation from a radiologist who's never seen the patient, who hasn't seen the necessary clinician who requires it to resolve the simply looks at the image and is report. Furthermore, this data is typically digitized already. Lots of machines in pathology and many of them in radiology have microprocessors in them already, and the information is already digitized, and the computer is already there, and it's a natural step. Natural not only from the viewpoints of the computer scientist, but natural from the viewpoint of the pathologist and from the viewpoint of the radiologist, which is critical, because it's not an ambiguous viewpoint of the infectious disease expert to have a computer taking kind of interpretation. Or you will get pathologists and radiologists in large numbers, not necessarily the moment you do the majority, but the large numbers to read that have the computer append interpretations to the data that come out of those respective parts. This is not my opinion, this is the opinion of many people who work in this area. So that's why I choose the word to pathology and radiology. Lauren happens to be interested in computerized axonography of the brain, and he's been working on it for quite a while. As we get into this particular subject, I should perhaps spend a few minutes introducing the equation, which is the source of the data.
Yes, I'm things like in my opinion. They see, a lot of policy rules of
The program is machine will still up. Be careful. Does anybody feel comfortable to say some words about maybe some of you? I'm not an expert in machinery itself. So maybe I can erase it. That's right. This computerized active phonogram is a fairly recent development of the last 10 years, and developed when Halsey Gold at a Nobel Prize before he developed it, I think, and a Nobel Prize for this work in the industry of computerized active phonography and non-enormous industry. Well, every video as he was really long. She lit up a donut-shaped device which emits an X-ray beam, which is the detector of the oxygen. But the patient was gonna then that places part of the patient's body inside the hole of this donut. We're particularly interested in frames, so the patient's cave. And within this device, I think it rotates, although the idea if it rotates, this source of the X-ray rotates, and then at some intervals, or every degree or whatever you want, it shoots the X-ray through, and the detector moves at the same time. So what then you get a shot this way, another time the source of X-rays here effectively is the opposite of there. And you get the cosmic X-ray, and then like at the other end, the thing sweeps around the 360 degrees, and then a computer reflects the data, the amount of X-ray they flows through depends on the density of the material through which the X-ray is going. And from this data, one can compute a picture that comes out on the screen. A bit of auto there. When I have done like shoot the kids of the brain, but the brain about the part. It's from the film if you wanted all the data, you see. But the one way to then they can take a photograph of it. Usually in radiology, 10 years ago, all the data is on a film. That's sort of the raw form of the data. It's on a film, and people look at the film, and that's it. But now it's in the computer, and they put it on a film secondarily. Just a view of what happened around with the impression. Anyhow, if you're looking on the screen with data like you see a bunch of gray levels, and you see a slice to the drink is the same that I have it's put in what angle it goes through, and then the thing goes. Then you can move the head, the person in and out, so you get multiple slices. Each slice has a certain amount of thickness, so each one of these little pixels here indicates the density in maybe a millimeter thick slice of brain in a particular area of the brain, sort of touch the brain. And that's a little bit about an accurate answer to the phonogram. The most recent one, and before I think that 4 right that's it on the most recent one about a few weeks ago. You sit down at the screen, and you get a view, and you can point at a certain area that request that the area be blown up, so that you then also need this looking at a certain part of the brain. You can indicate the very option that the terminal that you want to take.
You say you're looking now right off. You're looking and
Is they call the axial view. And then there's a sagittal view and the coronal view. And you can have a coronal view. You can have one to this section of the brain right here, and then also that can become double as a broad view of that body brain. And you can get other kinds of information if you can say, I want to know this area, what's the average density or circle average areas. So there's a fair amount of computer graphics going on that the radiologist can use to trying to put this in it. But at the moment, there is no computer program that will put out some interpretation of this image in terms of whether it's normal or not, what kind of illusion it might be. They're only the kind of manipulation of the image in the sense that I just described it. Lauren has been very interested in adding programs that will add some linguistic interpretation with energy, what is normally a radiologist's job. We're not trying really to replace the radiologist, but to give additional information to facilitate the job of the radiologist and decrease the amount of error that has to occur in radiology, which is good for mission. The program gives some helpful information indicating where there might be a lesion that the radiologist might miss, and this program would be was one. But when I stopped it up, not really. I know it's a Kicker International machine.
Facts.
Oh, no, how it works? I don't know. That question, but I've done that.
big.
Yeah. The machinery has been changing each year, and the problem of how to design an expert system. So what I'm doing, in part for expediency, in part for my own education, is taking Lauren's basic scheme and trying to write rules and discover what it is about trying to create expert systems that is easy and what is hard. And my first comment, the peak that I think is hard. All around it's hard. A lot harder than people say it is. For a reason that you might expect. That all the old problems that you had, that expert systems are supposed to get rid of, they don't get rid of, they just put them in different form. Anyhow, that, but I didn't get the date there, but I could be more precise by saying the issues of what, for instance, are features. Say with the old receptron approach, this was, I think, a number one problem is what is a feature. But when you create an expert system, it's not that you just sort of write down natural language and the thing works. You just say what the expert says. You have to decide whether the feature, or this predicate you fuck in the test case matches with your template, and then deciding whether or not this test case has what the template has in it.
So, anyhow, it's a matter of shape, density, rate value, or just pay rate value. That just characterize the various types.
Well, the Gervais thing, you actually characterize the lesion depends on the number of variables, which includes shape, density. But what I was thinking of at the moment was basically and shape and location. And you can life put these things together to a very extent. But what I'm thinking of mainly when I think of this drawing is the shape and the location rather than density or less. Or maybe you could do shape alone, or you could do location alone, or you could do shape and location.
Another tissues that have to be decided.
But in decision table, any time to make decision, you require to overcome knowledge. And that's why when you take in your decision table, you require the whole knowledge of the whole doctrine. Until you have whole knowledge, cannot in that decision table. In the expert system, by definition, you don't require those. You require only open knowledge. That's why you don't all process. That's how you come up with small rules. Which is giving you some of people only the development is still theorems also what you really do is that you have certain variables and there are certain rules. There are the rules and different groups have different probability and depending on how this particular route is taken that you have certain action go on. This is okay, it is very much decision table from decision tree. Okay, decision tree you have people can take. But the table is not quantity. You got all the it is decision because you have to representing all the information and machine feature. Overall machine
Okay, बोले आप confirm
that's what I'm saying. There's a case of expert system we don't require local information that you start in any expert system. We require purely local information that's how they impact expert. The expert tells you with this is the computer I did this. You never say that okay, what other kids you know about this one. You never ask them this. Yeah, how will you decide this CPU on the simple information do it? You ask on the basis of that, okay, how do you decide next? So you so you know that but then it took that particular code. If you didn't look at it, here you keep the decision phase. It isn't when you come to a decision before you are talking about equal okay. Anything is going to be purely monistic, but a decision tree or a decision in the design page of expert, no at design page of it will when you start when you sit down to design a decision table later for the decision key base, you require to all is submit. When you come to design expert system, you don't require for you reply only local expert.
Really,
I'm very good for this first. But this is a table, this is a trick. It very much very similar to classification, where you come up that okay. In fact, this is the approach of decision table approach. Nothing because it is pattern classification.
Like, what do you mean by global? I saw all that. You mean all like especially all like it's outro type of, I don't know what you mean by global.
It means it's a function of it's an answer. It's a function of all of that stuff.
The indicator that you did treat your flat, you classify. What you do is that graph analysis, you put it on grain or whatever. If you look for a particular feature, whatever is the quick control pattern. You look for a feature, and if the feature is to learn all that, you take the either two action. And if it all the contains the derivative or the derivative, you then question will take on the and yeah.
In fact, it's also a decision tree. Yes, that's why it's just a classifier, and you want a double no predefined states. However, an expert system is asking a question. Like, what is, like,
But I want to come with a rule doesn't mean that the expert system is a tracker system. We will not even in asking a question.
It is an inductive. It says that it is not wrong. That's why I said that.
What's the question?
yeah.
This I might show you some latter aspects. Like, yeah, the only one that's well, not the only. I take it back. Well, I guess there's one at Dept that they use to figure out sheets are selling. There's one at San Francisco that use a pub system. I think
Many people start actually stop. Okay, you can design away for it. For example, in my article, I asked them to design a simple auto repair system. That I will never consider that as a type of system. The aim is only effective to write the simple. This is the productive system. This is a C. And that way they learn to operate for a system and how to control like that. But if you start considering that as an expert, that you only take not to fix it.
But about comp, which is advertised as one of the few words.
That time they do better. For until you can feel a lot of things which are very trivial and they
That is after the method model business. That is
Copy great theory of what they. Yeah, I really were really deal. We looked at some sun on distribute.
I want to argue a bit more. So you kept saying there's no backtracking here. There's changes. And of course there is. Here's an obvious example. Okay, here's an obvious example. Suppose I have mice or something and I've decided that the highest probability of disease based on where I got is such, right? I ask questions about that disease. If you ran such and such a test, blah, 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 and then I access the results are wrong. I backtrack that and take the next step.
On stuff. On.
So they are not.
That's it. That's
I love it. Very the COP people. What do you think?
I thought there was good.
There is a viral difference. We're not talking.
I don't want to have the heretical trials in the state.
Yeah.
Go out the window.
You just slow it down.
Backward change is going out. Backtracking is the idea of a searcher. You went backward only different.
Okay, so I have a yeah, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied. And I have 3 or 4 things that can be satisfied or it's like a program. I go down one and it's not satisfied. I go down the other and it's not satisfied. Come back down, go down the other and it's satisfied. What did I just do? I also did backward change.
Oh, that is not back changing.
I have to do backward change and I said go down to
Backward
different
change
things.
is
So going back to the head, going back and satisfying.
Specifically, all it really means is you start off with your goal. And now you back to the right rather than start off with the other. Yeah. That's how you just which end you start from. You start with a goal statement, you start with goal statement, you start with
So, all the time, right? Don't be trying to do it now.